Hi guys, Buckley here. Gonna show you another dimensioning example. This is a part that we practice making during lab, but I'm gonna go ahead and dimension it. This is of comparable trickiness to the homework set you're working on right now. So I'm gonna start by creating a drawing from the part, and I'm gonna browse. I keep the UD title block right on my desktop. There it is. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and bring in the front part. So I like that as my front view. That is not a bad top view right there. And I think I'm actually going to go ahead and do a right side view here, even if I don't wind up using it. And then I'll also do an isometric. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of move these things around to make sure that I've got enough space. Move this guy. I actually have to change the scale a little bit. Let's see, it's a little tight. The issue is really with the isometric. Yeah, I think I'm going to need to use a different scale. What other options do I have here? Oops. Do it on the parent. Maybe 2's a little small. 2 to 1. There we go. That'll do it. So I got them all at the right scale here. And now I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I've got my hidden lines. I'm not going to have any here, but I definitely am going to have hidden lines on my other views. So I'm going to go ahead and insert those. Actually, I do have those there for that hole. Okay, they're showing up. I don't need them on the isometric. Now I need to put in my center lines. I'm actually going to do a center mark. Let's see, center lines there, center line. So I'm going to go ahead and insert those. Okay. All right. A lot going on here, obviously. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I am going to start working on the dimensioning here. So it would make sense to start with the big outer shape, right? So I'm going to go ahead and say that guy, and it's given me as a radius. If I pull it, it may actually switch it up to a diameter. Nope, it's going to want it to be radius at the time. Okay, I'll leave it at that. Now, I also need the thickness. Okay, now I'm going to start working on my features. I need this hole to be dimensioned. I'm going to go ahead and pull that down. Now, I'm going to need that slot. So a couple things about the slot, right? I could, it's not symmetric in any plane, so I need to specify the thickness and also say that it is basically even on both sides of this, right? So I think I'm going to do the dimensioning here. And I also need to say that it's going to be an even number from here. Right? So I got another, sensing a problem here, which is that I am going to need this to be to 3 decimals. So I'm going to go ahead and change my document properties to give me 3 decimals so that I can actually accommodate things like this, right? So this is rounding up to achieve that number, that 0.02, but obviously that's going to be a half dimension there, right? It's going to be half of that 0.03. So again, I'm going to go to document properties, dimensions. My primary precision is going to be 3 decimal places. I'm going to go ahead and apply that to the whole drawing. All right, so that looks a lot better. Okay, now I need to basically specify how far out this is going to come, and it would make the most sense to come off of the center line here, right? Not off of this edge of the circle. So I'm going to, this guy here, this part of the slot goes all the way through, but I'm still missing a dimension here that specifies how far back this goes. So I'm going to go ahead and add another dimension. Okay. So that should be the entirety of the slot. Let me just double check. So I've got my circular hole, then I've got my slot, I've specified the width. Really, this on this side it goes all the way through, and on this side it's coming back a certain distance here, and I'm specifying it from the center line of that, or the center mark of that circle. Okay. Other things, this hole is obviously concentric with the larger part, or with the outer diameter there, so I can leave that alone. Okay. Now we're going to work on this notch, and then last but not least, we'll do the final hole there. So this guy here, it would make sense to basically have 2 dimensions, right? So coming off of the center line up to here, and this guy to this guy. That would specify those 2 planes, essentially, that are creating that notch. So I'm going to go ahead and do one guy here, and one guy, I'm going to come off of this center mark. On the original drawing that we used to create this, they came off of this bottom line, which I really didn't like. That was not good. So we're going to come off of this. So everything measured off of the center of the part. That's going to be how we're going to do it. Okay, so that specified this notch. Now the last thing I have to do is the hole. So for the hole, I'm going to go ahead and dimension that on the view in which it is shown, which is this guy. Going to add some things to this dimension, but first I need to remind myself what this depth was. So I'm just going to just use this as a measurement here. And the depth is 0.144. Oops, never mind. Depth 0.144. So that's the geometry of the hole. Now I need to locate it, and it would make the most sense to locate it off of this edge and this edge on the drawing. So I got to locate it in X and Y. I'm going to locate it on the plane in which this hole is apparent. So smart dimension. I can kind of pick. I'll come off of this top corner just for clarity there. Okay, there's one. And then we'll do this guy to this guy. There's the other guy. Okay. Alright, so that should be fully dimensioned at this point. The only thing left to do would be to fill out the title block, right? So making sure that I specify what the scale is. And just to remind you guys, I had to put in a custom 3:1. So I used the user-defined custom scale because the options from the drop-down weren't as nice. But that's a somewhat tricky part, fully dimensioned. And yeah, good luck on this assignment.